All right, welcome to Pass the Mic. It is Friday, August 8th, 2025, episode 171. We are on Zoom. Mike Gervasi, how are you? Out in nature
What up?
again?
Yes, I am. It's a great day. Great morning. Very nice. Very
Yes, the
nice
weather,
outside.
we've been very lucky. The weather's been great. Other than the smoke from Canada, I guess that's been bad, but I guess that's gone now.
They were talking about it. I was in Grand Rapids. They were talking about it there this week too. So
I drove Monday from uh, to Pittsburgh, and from here to like all the way till you hit about Youngstown. It didn't clear up till you hit about the Pennsylvania state line, and it was just you could see it. And then all of a sudden you crossed into Pennsylvania, and it was clear as could be. So
wow, huh? Interesting.
those weather planting machines got to improve a little bit, get rid of the smoke. Feedback and errors. Of course, we had Tessa Nace on last week. She did a great job. And Tom Pack, you called it early in the episode when Tessa presented me the mic of the week. You couldn't wait for Tom's photo collage was great. He found an old photo of me in the orange blazer that I tried on at the Amway Girl and put a big old, I think, crown on my head.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty good.
Um, he also sent us a text, and I hope we can. This isn't violating FERPA Friends Privacy Rights Act, but he sent a little the Warrior Way podcast Facebook post,
Yeah,
and he's a
yeah.
Woodhaven alum, so he's obviously favoring past Mike. I went and looked it up. The episode's like 6 minutes long. Our feedback and errors take longer than that, maybe because we make too many mistakes. I don't know.
That could be. Now, I don't feel the need to drag other people down
No, I'm in.
to promote ourselves, but it is pretty funny when you said it was 6 minutes long. That's a comical thing.
um, Jill Burguy reached out. Normal, well on time this time. She loved your card idea, and I think the card idea is a great idea. If you didn't listen to last week, Mike got a card for his wedding that nobody signed the inside. They put the check in or whatever, so you can know who it's from.
Hmm.
And then now you're able to use that at the next wedding you go to. I
Yeah.
think this is a great way to take down the big card industry, which has gotten outrageous with their prices.
Yeah, this is something we all could get behind, both left and right. As
Left
Americans,
and
we can
right. I
unite
mean,
behind it.
this may solve it all. Like I don't know who would, other than people that work for American Greetings
That's true.
and
That's true.
Hallmark, but and also, what was nice, she pointed out too, she was listening to it right as she went into Dollar General. And what did she pick up? A bunch of cards. That's the
Right.
way out. It's the Dollar General
Yeah,
cards.
you're right, and that's fair. I think you said it before. It's a lot easier when you go to Meyer and Kroger, so forth and so on, to just pick them up there as opposed to making that extra stop. But if you're like me, man, and I can't look at the price of the card. I cannot stomach.
Oh, it's forget about eggs and ground beef.
Yeah, this is where people should really be upset.
She also did say her under or overrated with golf or the slow golf carts. Also, a lot of 90-degree rule and cart path only this last week with all the rain. She took a picture with the sign. That's out of my hands. I'm not in charge of that. And then again, I think Max pointed out the underrated is the nature. She sent some pictures. Kim sent, I mean, not some. Jill sent some pictures of all the animals she saw on the course
Yeah,
Saturday. So kind of there.
she,
Um,
she also thought the word dorks was as funny as I did. Even thinking back on it again, I hope we don't lose any listeners who consider themselves dorks and found it to be a negative connotation the way you said it.
I was reading the news the other morning, and one of the headlines was, "Is there AI backlash?" And there's a term, I'm gonna have to go look it up, and I'll get to it later. There's a term that's blowing up on Reddit that's like a slur. So I don't know if I'm gonna say that they're calling it a slur, and I guess they define things as slurs for AI, and that there's this huge backlash now brewing. Maybe I'll be like the face person for this. Like I'll be the start of it, but there's AI backlash growing even larger now, and these communities. And I saw another guy ordering at White Castle. White Castle has the AI drive-throughs,
Oh,
and like
really?
the order was priced out normally on there, like it was like whatever, like a crave case or whatever, I don't know. But his bill was like $1,100. Like the total was $1,100, even though the two things were like 20 something total. And he's like he's recording it, talking into this AI. He's like, why is this $1,100? And it's like glitching and total disaster.
Yeah,
Total
yeah.
disaster. Which again, there's nothing wrong with people working. Go ahead. What else do you got?
We have Max, awful self-promotion, more shameful self-promotion, excuse me, by Bobby Brown. Again, that's you. Um, Max is seeing what I'm seeing, I guess. Uh, Card recycling, he liked the idea as well. Gary Bailey, maybe make the world a mantra, make the world better, the mantra of the youth. I hope she succeeds. Gary offered some nice words of wisdom for her. I applaud the young lady and her optimism. You go, girl. Back to Jill. Jill took a pretty good shot at me in this text too. I can't really use the language, so I'll leave it out. But I thought that was pretty funny. Also, since we're talking about this, this is an old bit, but you and Max this morning, um, Costa on 97.1 getting blasted for jinxing our teams. And you, I think we're just engaging the conversation about how fans can be so dumb, and Max just used that as a forum to bash you and me.
We joke about it. Like we're the ones that realize that there is no jinxing.
No jinx.
We do it to annoy people that think there really is.
Right.
We have nothing to do with what the Tigers are doing.
No.
And if Scooble has a perfect game going, and if I were to tweet about it, well, no one's on Twitter, so it doesn't matter. It's like if a tree falls in the woods. But if I were to text us about it, and the next guy up hits a home run, it's you know we do not have anything to do that. By the way, I looked it up. Hopefully, we remain family friendly after saying this. So my source is Axios. The slurs that have been developed for AI that go wrong, uh, clanker is the term that's being used. They also say, and here's where I hope we don't lose our family friendly status, also wireback or cog sucker, COG.
Oh, dear Lord. Whew. So I got to tell you, this previous week's episode of Real Time with Bill Maher had an AI expert on, and he's been in a lot of things. He formerly worked for Facebook, and now he's kind of like explaining how this is just ruining our society. And one of the things he mentioned that AI is now doing, and this is the worst case scenario type things, is in terms of if an AI finds out, and I'm not kidding you when I say that it is about to be shut down at, let's say, a given company, it will go into your emails, the person that's saying I'm shutting it down, find out if you've been like doing anything wrong, whether it's having an affair or anything else,
Yeah.
threaten you that they're
Oh,
going to expose said
it's like
affair.
Hal, Space Odyssey.
I mean, so this is what like this has
Like
happened,
I
I
said,
guess.
I think there's more negative than positive in the long run. I
That
just
is
I just
absolute
think
that
there's
that right there is frightening. And I think that's the worst case scenario for people. So yeah, I go back and forth on this, but when I heard him say that and he's like, this is happening, that has happened, and that's my Lord, what worst case scenario could you have? Well, there are worst case scenarios. They
I'm
can
drawing the line if
push
AI
a button.
overprices my Taco Bell order. That's for darn sure.
Yeah,
That's where I draw the sign in the line in the sand. Lastly, Tessa was gave shout outs. She called them shout outs to Chloe and Sarah, two of my coworkers at the golf course. I ran into Chloe and Sarah on Saturday, and they're like, it was more of like a little, not thrown under the bus, but like a shove because they were part of her overrated for golf. So I told Chloe and Sarah that I would give them a true shout out, no offense to Tessa, because they gave me their overrated, underrated golf. And I thought they were pretty good. Chloe's overrated golf are rangefinders. Are you familiar with what a rangefinder is?
I am not.
So it's like this device. In the old days, when you had your ball and you had to see how far you were away, sometimes there'd be markings on the course, but otherwise you would have to just sort of eyeball and figure out how far you are now. Well, now they got this technology. You look through this thing and it tells you exactly how far you are from the pin. So it helps you pick your club. Chloe says that's overrated. Sarah's overrated are colored golf balls. Uh, you know, orange, yellow, whatever.
Hmm.
Overrated. Underrated for Chloe, colored golf balls. She's a
Hmm.
fan. And overrated, and I think I agree. This comes back to our problem with time. Sarah's underrated, I think, was really good, just playing a nine hole
Okay,
round.
that's a very
So
good
then
one.
I think that was a perfect one. So shout out to Chloe and Sarah. Chloe, Woodhaven grad. She's now listened to more episodes of Pass the Mic than Warrior Way. That's my statement on that. I don't want to get her in trouble at work though. She's a grad and she teaches there now. She's like me. She
Oh, really?
came back. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
all right, it's your mic of the week. Who do you got?
All right. So we did the elimination before, right?
Mike Duggan. Are
Mike
you removing
Duggan.
another mic?
You know what, Mike?
You're removing me?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not. I'm
this would be the
debating
Bobby
here.
Brown movie.
No, I really, Mike Duggan has done more. I was gonna
You
double
gonna put him
down on
back?
it. No, I was gonna double down and say he can't come back.
Oh, you're a lifetime ban.
Lifetime ban, but I'm not gonna do it. I think that's not imaginative at
I saw
all.
him on
So
TV. He was using the no education budget to sort of prop him, blaming the Democrats and Republicans, and saying that how, as an independent, this wouldn't happen under him, which, okay, you still need the House and Senate to
I
agree.
I just I don't know what happened. Did money get a hold of him? Forget it. I'm not. I really wanted to double down on it and give him a lifetime ban of sorts, but I'm gonna go with. Are you familiar with Mike Judge?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Beavis and
Um,
Butthead creator.
yeah, and he also I learned this recently. He was the Office Space. He wrote Office Space, and I learned a little bit about. I knew the movie didn't do so well at the box office. It became a cult classic. Well, one of the things that he really pushed for in the movie was putting more of you remember Milton, the stapler guy?
Yes.
He said we need to have this guy front and center, and the original theatrical release did not have him, but when it came out on video, it did, and he attributes that at least partially to the success, post-film success of the film. I thought that was
Okay.
pretty interesting. Red Staplers, actually the company that produced them, they stopped producing red staplers, so the Office Space creators had to go in and find one, and then they came back out because of the film. I
Because of the
found this stuff
popular,
like
I didn't
yeah.
realize movies, pop culture could have office supply
Yeah,
impact.
so I'm going Mike Judge. My anger toward Mike Duggan is so high right
Man,
now though. So yeah, I
someone
just
said that
really
he has the most fundraising.
I know, and
I thought I saw
it's
that.
to me to do a complete about face the way he has on education more than anything else. I don't think anybody's going to disagree. I think right and left, unless you're like a fringe of either side, will. But for the most part, we all agree we need to find a way to come together as a country. For me, it's when somebody finds this low hanging fruit specific to education and says the things that he has said. I cannot. It really really makes me mad. So, but I'll leave him alone for now.
Yeah,
So.
as we know, uh, the stories that the gotcha stories on education that 99.9% are true, like the litter boxes in classrooms or the
Right,
kids dressed. I
right,
mean, this stuff is not happening in
right.
99.9% of schools, and they take one instance and they make it
Hmm.
seem like it's happening in every school. And people, the scary thing is people believe this stuff
Yes, they do.
because
They do.
they don't look stuff up, they don't ask anything. Okay. Good one though. Mike Judge. All right. Education topic every year around this time. Are you being evaluated this year? I know I probably asked this
I
last year when
am.
we did
I
this. Okay,
am.
so we're on the same track then, because now we only get evaluated every other year. So
Hmm.
this is good that we're going to be evaluated each year. So last year when we did this education goals, it was more of what we just wanted to do in the background because we weren't being evaluated. This year we're actually being evaluated. So we do have to set a true goal, pen to paper, to establish. So with that, as we do every time this year, what education goals? What do you have? What's your education goal
Okay, let me
or
clarify something
goals?
for the listener real quick. We're not formally evaluated, but the our administrators, our bosses do come in our classrooms pretty regularly. So we're not just willy-nilly doing whatever we want there. So I
Oh
want to
yeah,
make that
yeah.
clear to the
It's not like
listener.
we're
This is
taking a nap and
correct. Right.
showing movies every day. Yeah.
Okay, so as you know, I'm just gonna jump off my goal from a year ago. I taught the AP Gov class. It was as successful as I could have hoped for, and then some. It really was an outstanding year, an amazing year. But I had 35 students sign up, and this year I have a lot more than that. I have nearly double that amount. And so my goal is as much as possible to maintain the success so it's strictly related to that class. Now I am teaching economics. And we do have there's a new state mandated part of the curriculum that gets into more of the personal finance that a lot of the folks have been clamoring for, and it's effectively become two different classes within one. But so I'm acknowledging that, and I am putting work in on that. In fact, Mrs. Sims and I, Kelly Sims, are getting together Monday for a full day and kind of mapping the course out. But I am really, really excited slash nervous slash hopeful about AP Gov this year. I'm already in contact with my person from Southgate. We're sort of just planning it out. So my goal is just to kind of maintain the success that I had a year ago. I'll hopefully do it with a lot less stress than I did this fall, but that's my ultimate goal.
All right, nice. Yeah, and like I said, you did a great job with the AP. We talked about that earlier this summer. So I have like a one that I'm aiming at for my professional goal, because again, like we said, we have to put that into writing here at the start of the year that will be evaluated on. And then I have just a generic general goal for like the year, sort of like what we did last year. So my um the school year goal, well, what my goal for the school year that I'm going to put into my evaluation piece is I'm going to create basically a 9 month calendar, September through, in the end of the school year, with focuses 100% on literacy items that can be promoted and done within the library. The reading score, we joked around about Mike Duggan earlier and test scores. And I think we've talked about reading on this episode, on these shows a lot. And we talked about reading for enjoyment and all these things. And I'm starting to think too, and this is no offense to our STEM people, it's like anything else, pendulums swing too far. And for many years, it was all STEM, 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 right? Like
Hmm.
that's, and we disregarded the arts and the humanities and
Hmm.
reading and just writing. And well, look what happened. AI came out and sort of sliced STEM in half. Okay, not
Hmm.
all of it, but a big chunk of what STEM was, coding and all this stuff. And now kids can't read. Like we got into this thing of like, and again, everything has to be done within balance. And so what I want to do is I want to start doing, and again, am I going to get 1,100 kids to want to jump and grab a book? No, but if I could up, you know, by 100 or 150 that say, hey, you know what, maybe I do need to read something that's not just my class assignment or whatever, or maybe I could find something that I normally don't go into, nonfiction or whatever, or even if it's just like a news site, like what I do every morning, read the news and that sort of thing. So that is my goal. That's my goal. And I've already put some stuff together like, okay, we're going to do this in September. We're going to do this in October. My calendar is a little more free this year as I'm no longer coaching cross country. So, I don't have the commitments after school and on weekends from like I did before, from August all the way through
Right.
November, which really opens up my time to do more in the library. Also gives us a lot more Studio B opportunities in semester one that we normally don't have.
Right.
Um, so that's my goal with that. And I already got stuff planned out. And will they all work? No, but I'm gonna try. You know what I
And if
mean?
I may springboard off that, it's funny because I was reading something recently about how, when the Soviets put Sputnik, and I don't want to geek out historically here, but late 1950s, and that was kind of our early STEM, a more of a approach focused on science and math. Well, then we realized that we're losing those other things you were talking about. And so the pendulum swung back, and then it swung back again with STEM, and the civics learning has just
Well,
I
it's
mean, falling off a cliff,
yeah.
and the old joke about, your civics teacher in high school. I'm not going to specify what the joke is. I'm sure the listener has heard them, but I don't want to say there's a degree of truth there because that would be incorrect because I really think those teachers work their tails off. But there is a degree of truth where you emphasize where your education is going is where your outcomes are going to be. And so to me, civics learning has just been uh, it's been lacking, and I think you're right. I applaud you for doing that.
We can try. And like I said, it's the truth of the matter is that everything needs balance. And
Right.
the other truth of the matter is not every kid is geared towards STEM, and not every kid is geared towards the humanities. And you got to
Hmm.
find a balance, of what works. Now, that's what we're going to try. And again, basic reading is something no matter what you're going into,
Absolutely. Anything.
anything. Like even if you don't want to go take another day of class after you graduate high school in your life, you need to be able to read.
Right.
Like,
Right.
like I just signed documents yesterday, like just transferring money from one retirement account to another, right? Like, and or you're going to sign a lease on a car, you got to read this stuff. Or
Hmm.
I got to sign documents that I transfer the money into the guy's pocket.
Right.
Like if if you sign it, you sign it. So, but good goals. Hopefully we have some success for it. Okay, overrated, underrated. We both had a similar week or previous week. You were on your honeymoon into Ohio, and I traveled through Ohio, and then even made a stop at the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the way back. So I figured let's. Sometimes state gets a little bit of heat from us here in Michigan. I'm not like, I don't know about you, but I'm not like this crazy anti-Ohio. Like if you feel like everyone in Michigan has to hate Ohio and vice versa. It doesn't really bother me that much. Okay, there are things about it I don't like, but it's not like this thing like, oh, I won't travel into the state or anything like that crazy. What's your overrated for Ohio?
Okay, so it's interesting you bring that up because as a more of a lifetime Michigan fan, I have hated Ohio State. The only team that would supersede that in terms of my overall hatred being the Chicago Bulls of the 1990s.
Oh, see, like for
Um,
me, it's the Cleveland Browns. Like I would equate that to what a Michigan, like as a Steeler fan, I
sure,
cannot
sure.
stand them. Like the worst. But go ahead.
But my whole life here's what I've heard about Ohio. Be careful driving there because the cops will get you as a Michigan person. And you don't want to be in the Columbus area as a Michigan fan. Okay, so two parts of this. I've driven through Ohio myriad of times. I can't even give you the exact number, hundreds of times. And I've only experienced the pullover thing once. My dad got pulled over when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and it's stuck in my memory. So that part I've never experienced as many times as I've been there. So I'm a little fuzzy on that. And that is something I've heard. That's a refrain my whole life. In fact, I was just with my stepdad was talking about this really recently. So that's number one. Number two, I've heard that as a Michigan fan, you really have to keep it hidden. You know, we were in Hocking Hills, which isn't too far from Columbus, and there was Buckeye stuff everywhere. And we informed people, like I thought it'd be funny. I went to an ice cream shop and the flavor was Buckeye, blah, blah, whatever, Buckeye brownie or something like that. And I said, would you have anything Wolverine related? Because we're both from Michigan
Trolling.
and Michigan. And they made jokes about it. And we kind of laughed about it. And we won the national title. Okay. Michigan's beat you 4 years in a row. So, but it was fun. It was done in good
Yeah.
humor. That happened everywhere we went. And so there was never this visceral anger that, I had heard that you get, and I've heard that from multiple sources. So I guess my overrated is just what you're kind of talking about. It's this hatred that I've heard about before. And again, I know the rivalry has taken on, proportions, Woody Hayes, why'd you go for two? Because I couldn't go for three and those type of things. But in general, I just don't see this civil, I mean, it wouldn't be called interstate war between these two sides that I've heard about most of my life. So that's my overrated.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I specifically do slow down in Ohio, but I've never, knock on wood, been pulled over there. So I don't go, I don't, as I get older, I don't go as fast as anyway, because it's like, if you look at the numbers, a couple miles per hour more doesn't really change that much. So
It
what's
does
the
it.
point?
What's the point? And you know what, Mike? I've been pulled over far more in Michigan. In fact, I haven't been pulled over in Ohio, like I said myself. I've been pulled
Yeah.
over a lot more in Michigan for speeding and stuff like
I
that.
have more
So
tickets in this household from your old hometown than I do the state of Ohio. Let's just put it that way.
I got one there too. So yeah.
Talk about, yeah, Taylor should get more bad rep than the state of Ohio. They're like awful.
Well, Taylor does get a bad rep, but for different reasons.
Oh, well, for tickets, they sure don't. That's accurate. That's not all right. My overrated. I've been there once on a trip, once for gymnastics, for a meet, Kalahari. Uh, it is outrageously expensive, way too big, and I think the whole indoor water park thing in general is overrated. It's just when you think about it,
Absolutely.
like in general, they have these huge. Everything's just so expensive. I sound like a boomer now, totally, just like last week. But
Absolutely.
it's sort of like Disney, right? It's like one of those things you have to do. Like you take your kids there, and you sort of do it, and then just hope you don't do it over and over again. And like they just totally they have you. Like you know what I mean? Like they have you, and you're going to spend money. Overrated. Don't do it. That was an easy one, low hanging fruit. What do you have as your underrated?
So this one I had a hard time, and I actually went and looked up some of the attractions. I'm just gonna give one. This isn't my underrated. I'm gonna give you my underrated here in a second. But did you know the house from Christmas Story is in Ohio?
Yes, I did know that. I see
I
people
did
post
not.
that. A lot of people go to that.
Okay, I did not know that.
Okay.
My underrated though is just something, and it's a personal. It's totally anecdotal because I didn't know about it until about 4 or 5 years ago. Hocking Hills, to me, having been there, it is not something I would have liked. I'm not an outdoorsy type of person. Those type of areas tend to, in every conceivable way, I was texting you guys a little bit about some of the stuff I was experiencing there. In every single conceivable way, this isn't something I would normally like. And I loved every minute of it. I thought it was beautiful. Getting out and just seeing nature and these wonders of nature. It's just amazing. And again, like I said, it wouldn't be something that I would normally experience. So that's probably why I say it's underrated, but I'm going Hocking Hills as my underrated.
I know you don't like when I bring it up. I saw a TikTok. The local area is starting to get a little irked because I think it was
Yeah,
sort of like this unknown thing, and now it's getting quite big. Not with just people from Michigan, but people from all over,
sure. Yeah.
and it's getting to be quite big. Again, I have nothing to, that's just what I saw. I got two. One, and again, I have a little more to say on this one because like normally my normal route through Ohio, 98% of the time is, down to Toledo, across to the turnpike, across the bridge into the turnpike and to Pittsburgh. And that's the way I took on the way there. Um, and then on the way back, though, because Nate and I were in Pittsburgh, we were going to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. Well, the Pro Football Hall of Fame is actually about 30 minutes or so south of the turnpike. And when I pulled up the maps from Pittsburgh, you could go right out of the city south by the airport and sort of you cut through West Virginia and up. And so you're not backtracking at all, but it's not turnpike. It's a little interstate, a little this. It was about 5 minutes longer, but distance wise, and I'm like, you know what? I'm in no rush. We decided to take it, not because of
Yeah,
not one, just because to do something different. And I'm glad I
sure.
did. It was a pretty cool route. But what it did is it gave me some experience. Ohio's roads are very underrated. Coming from
Yeah,
Michigan,
very good one. Yeah,
and,
I
and I
agree.
used to think it was just the turnpike because okay, you're paying for it, it's going to be better. But
Sure.
it's not just that. It's when I got down in that southern tip off of West Virginia, everything down there was just as good. That's not
Hmm.
turnpike. So they do it well. I don't know how they do it. They do it well. Again, it's not just the turnpike. I want to because people right away was like, oh well, you're paying $15 to drive across the state, but I'm not paying $15 when I took this route that I took came from the south and up to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My other one, and I've mentioned this before, they have better restaurant options. And I think this goes back from the south, and it slowly works its way up. We had at a Waffle House on the way out. They had we looked it up. There was only like two Bojangles. We stopped at this Bojangles in Canton. Delicious. Nate claims best chicken tenders, even better than Raising Cane's, was at this Bojangles. And the people were friendly. It was spotless. So again, and they have a Buc-ee's in Ohio. I think we've talked about this before. The South has better fast food restaurants for the most part and stops. And Ohio is sort of like that, right? It's that border state.
Hmm.
We're not. We're a northern state.
Right.
Ohio is too geographically, but it's also
Right.
southern Ohio is you're entering the South. Like once you're in Cincinnati, you're really in the South. So that is my underrated, the roads and the restaurant options. So
Let me just throw something else there. That you just made me think of that too. One thing I noticed everywhere I went in Ohio, if you're a beer person, they have at every party store just an outstanding selection of beer that,
really,
Michigan likes to be considered, it likes to call itself a craft beer state. And yeah, but Ohio has us beat there as well. So
yeah.
they
Well, I
are
mean, we're lucky around here though. There's some good stores very close to us. Like,
sure.
like Breland Market is I mean, that's
Very
amazing
good
what they
one.
offer. So, and then in
Yeah.
Wyandotte has discount drinks. So,
Discount drinks, absolutely.
yep, yep. All right. What do you have as your hot mic take this week?
All right, so Max, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, told you I wasn't going to do this one this week for a different reason, but I actually am going to, just because we kind of talked about this. So I'm asking you, and I'm asking the listener, when you go to weddings and when you go to, um, let me wrap it up. If you're hosting a wedding, um, and or your, graduation or anything else, do you feel the need to send thank yous? And on the flip side, do you feel the need to get them thank you cards? Because Max and I had this conversation yesterday, and for me personally, and I don't know, I'm going to be honest with you, Mike. I don't know if I think Nate sent me a thank you
Mhm.
card. I don't need it at all. So where are you at? We'll go on the need end of things. Do
Well,
you need to
first of
get
all,
a thank
ironically,
you?
yours arrived yesterday. Your thank you
Okay.
arrived yesterday, so it came in the mail. 100% yes.
You do. Okay, I'm surprised.
We sat Nate down and said this has to be done
Okay.
by this date. Chloe was, and actually Nate, I think got it done maybe even a little quicker. But his penmanship is awful. So whoever got them, we apologize for that receipt. And then like what was funny is he signed everyone, I think Nate Pehote, like even to my mom.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, so I guess okay. So
Okay, but let me say this.
go ahead.
I don't feel like I need one. I don't need one. Okay. But Nate was not going to not send one. I'm sort of like on both ends of this. Like I don't need
Agree,
one,
agree,
but there was no way he was not going to send one out. So, but because my feelings aren't the same as all the people that gave him a gift. So that's
agree.
why you can't go based on how you feel about it.
I agree
You
with
have
you.
to do it. You have to do it.
For me personally, and this is for everybody now that I don't need one.
Yeah.
If you really feel the need, just drop me a text message so we don't have to have a lengthy phone conversation if you don't want to take time. But just drop me a text message or something like that. But I don't need one. I understand your point. That's why we sent all those thank yous, but I do not need one at all. Uh, and a few people from the wedding, when I text them for their address, said, "Don't worry about it. Don't send me
Yeah.
anything." So I appreciated
Well, I
that.
mean, get it. That's, I mean, I mean, like we did ours. Like, that's the postage for the invites, postage for that. Like, but I think it's what's keeping the post office in business.
Absolutely. I'm
Invites,
wondering. I
invites.
I thought, and we are pretty much on the same. But I don't need a thank you at
No,
all. So
no. But I
that's
mean, yeah, but it's like I said, it's going to happen. So, I want to talk a little bit about PNC Park. The Pirates are awful. And a lot of, and I noticed walking around the stadium before the game, many of independent rankings ranks PNC Park as either number one or two. It's
mhm.
either them or I believe it's where the Giants play, San Francisco Giants. And ironically, that's who they played in Pittsburgh when we went on Monday night. That's like their claim to fame. And it is a beautiful park. And I took pictures of, and we had great seats. We were in the second level, right behind home plate, the first row. All right. So because we bought them off SeatGeek, it's their club seats. Um, uh, the park is beautiful. We were lucky; it was like one of these 82-degree days, no humidity, so it was everything was perfect about the day. You can walk the whole stadium. Ushers and employees were so friendly. I mean, everyone you walked into talked into you know the lady that checked the tickets to get into the club, dropped a famous yins, have a good time. You felt right at home.
Mhm.
Um, talked to the guy that wiped down our seats. I tipped because he took pictures of Nate and I because he's like, oh, it's the background's in there. He's like, let me take some because I was taking a picture of him. He's like, offered to take the usher did
Mhm.
offered to take pictures of us. I tipped him $5. He was very appreciative. Because we wiped the seats. Nate has a peanut allergy. I appreciated that. Plus, he took like 4 or 5 pictures. So I gave the guy $5. And he was very appreciative. Um, this is unbiased. I am a Pirates fan. And again, I haven't been to every park, but I totally agree with the ranking based upon the friendliness of the crowd, the views, the sights, the food. Here's one thing, and I texted it the other day. Every concession stand I went to was either you grab it yourself, like which I have at Ford Field now too. I grabbed like a Miller Lite, you put it on this thing, it scans it, and you pay it, and there's just a person there watching you. Like there's
Mhm.
nobody. Okay, so I did that. The food that we ordered, they turn the kiosk faces you, and you like push it in, like at Taco Bell or whatever. You order it, and then you pay right there. Like it's all cashless. No one is taking your order. All right,
Mhm.
like here's the one thing, the final bonus. And again, I'm not cheap. Like I said, I tipped that guy $5. There's no gratuity on any of these machines. You don't
Oh
have the
yeah,
option at all, which shocked me. And again, I get it. Like a lot of the time, that gratuity is like a fundraiser. Like I get it at 4. My issue is I'm paying $14 for a tall boy Miller
right,
Lite.
right,
Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
like it sucks as it is. I get it. I don't have to have that. But even like a pop's expensive. But like at PNC Park, it's sort of like, well, you're going to do everything. You're going to place the order.
yeah,
You're going to pay. So we're not putting gratuity on this stuff. So that gave me bonus points. And again, I'm not cheap. I tip the usher,
sure.
I just think those situations, I don't know if gratuity is really necessary, especially when you're dropping. What are you going to do? Tip 20% too on that? It's like I know normally like I give a buck. Like if I buy a beer at a
That's
stadium,
right.
or if I buy it's like a buck a beer. I'll give to the and especially it's different. Like I didn't even really notice. I didn't really see it. Like the guys that walk around.
Well, they
Like
weren't.
hot.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, man, maybe that's another thing too. Like everything is in the concourse
Hmm.
because
That's a
those
part
guys
of.
you tip too. They're like serving you. They're
Yeah,
like
that's a part of the baseball ambiance. I'm surprised that
I
that's not.
really, but you know what? It was again. It was PNC Park on a Monday. There's actually a pretty good crowd. It was Bark in the Park night, so there were dogs, and there's a big content, not big, but a vocal contingent group of Giants fans behind the Giants dugout, like 20 to 30. that were,
Really?
yes, which I was like, I mean, this can't be just family. Maybe or
Yeah.
maybe it is, and it's the one game they decided to go to because it was, or they are traveling with them on this trip. Verlander
Interesting.
pitched, and what was funny is they were so loud all night because they loaded the bases in the first inning. They only got a run or two. I mean, all night it felt like the Pirates should have been down 8-0. Like they could not hit, they could not pitch. It was just awful. And then somehow they're only down 2 runs like through this whole game. It's like one of these football games, right? Like where a team dominates and they're only
Yeah.
up three. Well,
Hmm.
this was the equivalent in baseball. And I'm sitting there with Nate, and like it gets to the bottom of the ninth, and they get a couple guys on. A guy hits a sure single to score the tying run, and then now there's guys on second and third, one out, and every Pirate has a batting average of like 150 or 200. So there's no hero coming. This guy, this shortstop, hits this dribbler that is very, I mean, you want to talk this little dribbler up the first base line. They throw it home to try to get the guy at third, and he beats it in. They went on a walk off. This is the
Wow.
worst hit you could have. And these Giants fans that were so loud the whole game. The first thing I did after we celebrated, I looked out at them. You would have thought like someone killed their dog. They went from. I would love to see the chart, the fan graph of what the win percentage was. So it was. I'll give baseball credit. That was a fun night. It was a good time, and so that's that. All right. Well, hey, next week we are doing a little talk on podcasts.
Yeah. Big week.
Big week in Brazil, right?
Going to Grozio, going to the island.
Hopefully they
Yeah.
let us on. Hopefully Christy Nome lets us on. Bring your passport.
Yeah, we'll see. It should be fun though. Gary Bailey and his wife are putting this on, or his wife actually has put this on for us, and it's really, really excited. Um, I don't like to think of us as being that big of a deal, but in this case, we kind
Well,
of
we
are on
got.
this one,
I
right?
gained two more. When I asked Chloe and Sarah, I said I'll put you on this week. They're like, "Oh, so we got to listen again?" I go, "Yes, you do." So I, I added two more listeners that to our count.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, it's Christine Bailey, by the way. I want to make that
Yeah.
clear. Is Gary going to be there?
Oh, I think so. He
Okay.
was at the planning meeting. I think he's
He
all
was at
hands
the
on deck
planning
for
meeting.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
should be
So
fun.
yeah, definitely.
Did you real quick, did you notice the Gary Bailey Ren Dog love on the
Oh
Facebook
yeah,
post?
they're like best buds.
They are. It's great.
The Rendong has been working quite a bit. He texted me right after the Pirates won. That was the other thing. That was the longest game ever. Like Nate and I, even with this new pitch count and everything, like the
Oh
Tigers were playing
yeah.
the Twins, and because the Giants loaded the bases in the first, but like didn't score, the inning took, and all of a sudden I'm looking up and like the Tigers game is over, and we're in like the top of the sixth in PNC Park, same start time. Which
Yeah.
again, I looked at Nate and I go, if I was home for a Tiger game, I'd be kind of annoyed. But this was great for us. We're
Sure,
on the road.
absolutely.
We stayed in a hotel right outside the stadium. It's a beautiful night. Like we have good seats. This game could have lasted for 18 innings and I would have been fine because I didn't pay to I parked at the hotel. It was set, but man, the Pirates doing the opposite of everything. So
So real quick, let me ask you this, just since we're on the baseball topic. Tigers are really struggling a little bit. And my question for you is, are they going to hold on to the division, or is this going to be a collapse of epic proportions?
well, it's
With
not even
five
really
games
that
up.
early. It's not even that late in the season. There's still a lot of baseball.
There's a
Like
lot of six,
I
six
mean,
games up as we speak, five in the loss column. So this is really,
and here's the deal, and we were texting in the group text earlier. And again, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just being honest. The Tigers are not that good, not best
Mhm.
record in baseball good. And
Sure.
I'm not trying to be rude. Like they overachieved in the first half of the season. I'm just all I'm saying is roster wise, they are not that good. They are
Right.
not best team in baseball good. That's not trying to be rude. Can they still win the Central? Can they still make the playoffs? But yes, because the back half of what I'm about to say is Major League Baseball is not that
Hmm.
good. Like there's nobody that's just everyone has their flaws. I mean, the Yankees went on this bad losing streak, right? They got swept by the Marlins and they're losing their minds there. The Dodgers have their issues. Like there's no team that like, oh man, I don't want to play them in the first round. I don't want to play, there's nobody out
Right.
there that's like it's sort of like those years in college football or whatever. You're like, if there's ever a year just to make
Yeah.
it in,
Right.
you want to make it
Well,
in.
the Tigers have really the bottom. I don't want to say it's fallen out, but it's falling. And I look at Well, maybe, maybe our general managers are more intuitive than we give them credit for. Because I myself, I was pretty upset at the deadline because the Tigers really didn't make any major moves. But maybe Scott Harris knows what you know, and maybe he's like, you know what, getting one or
Yeah,
two
but the
guys,
but
it's
the
not
back
going to
half of
matter.
that that's the problem though. You're right. If there was like there's a team in the AL that was just like, oh my God, we're not getting. They have three. Like the Tigers back the year they lost and they should have won the AL, but they're like, oh my God, we can't beat this team in a 5 game series. But there's nobody like that. There's nobody that
Y-
you're like scared
You're
to
right,
death of.
but at the same time, you know. Maybe he to give up a guy, and granted, as it turns out, maybe the offers it seems like the Tigers were unwilling. Maybe the offers were there and they just did not want to
Yeah,
part with any top, 15 guys in their system. But I come back to 2 years ago, and Max brought this up to me recently. We really wanted the Lions to trade for Chase Young, and he did next to nothing. And the Lions
yeah.
should have made the Super Bowl that year, and having Chase Young would or would not have mattered. It wouldn't have made a difference. Brad Holmes has made some mistakes. Hopefully, this. I really have a bad feeling about this upcoming season, but nonetheless, that was not one of them. And I think that we as fans need to not overreact so often because we want our teams to make this leap right now.
The difference is I feel that in the NFL, guys that are available at the deadline, uh, Major League Baseball, you can get there's been impact moves made.
Yeah,
Not as much this year, but in the past, man, there's been some big names that move
absolutely.
because it's salary dump, or it's because this team, the Pittsburgh Pirates, are famous for this. We are not going to be able to sign this guy,
Yeah.
so we have to get rid of him. Even though he is Garrett Cole, like you know what, like this is Paul Skeens
Yeah.
in the future. Like it's going to
Mhm.
happen. So whereas in the NFL, most of the guys that are made available, even if they're on a bad team or something, because you can get so much better in the next year or whatever. Like it's just like those guys aren't that great anyway. Like they weren't going to do much. They're
Right.
they're a big name, but that's the way it is. So
Yeah.
all right, well that looks like everything. We're a couple weeks away from going back to work already, but going to enjoy this month of August. Sports start Monday, right? So
Yeah. Football. Here we
fall
go.
athletes,
Let's.
coaches, welcome back. Make sure you have your physicals. Are you done with all your safe schools? I think you said you are, right?
Oh yeah, I
I
was
am.
done a while ago. How about, are you done?
I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm done with all my safe school stuff, and then I go next week. I have a student council meeting on the 11th.
Hmm.
So get that started. And then the week after, I go in for my like early days. And then we move Nate in. Holy cow, man. It's crazy.
It's that time. Here we go.
Yep. All right, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you next week.